Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a new video. It is a very gloomy day here in Cedar Rapids today, so I thought I'd take this time, do a little bit of tailgate talk, and tell you the story of my company, McCormick Painting Services. My purpose in doing this is really to let you get to know us a little bit better, because I know we have some new eyes here now that really don't know too much about us, but also hope you can take something away from this. I know I always love listening to startup stories along my journey, and usually find them pretty insightful. So I hope this is as well. Alright, let's take this way back to the beginning, which is the summer of 2010. It all started when my parents were going to move to a different side of town to be closer to work. So they got a quote to have their deck stained, but it was way too high, so we ended up doing it ourselves. My parents told little 13-year-old me that I could make some extra money in the summers doing this, so I made a flyer off a template I found online, printed out some flyers, and passed them around the neighborhood. Some smiled and took the flyer, others just closed the door. I waited all summer to get a call, because who's going to let a little 13-year-old kid do a home improvement project for them? But right at the end of the summer, I got my first call. My uncle let me borrow his pressure washer, my dad showed me how to use it, and once it was all cleaned up, I stained it with my parents. The deck took us forever, but we got it done, and I made like $200, which to me felt like I won the lottery. I think I spent most of it on Old Spice. Then I just repeated this for the next 2 years. I think I got 3 calls my second year, and then 10 calls in my third year, which is nothing crazy, but it was growth. During this time, my parents drove me to all the jobs and then worked alongside me. A, to teach me how to stain, and B, to make sure I didn't mess up anybody's property. This helped, but none of us really had that much staining experience, and it did kind of show in our work. However, we really did try our best on every project. Going into my 4th season, I was 16 years old, and I could finally drive on my own. I also got my first lead outside of our neighborhood. The problem was I had no idea how to quote it, because that deck was a different style than all the decks in my neighborhood, which are all standard. I pulled out random numbers to try to calculate the cost of the job, but I was either way off or he just wanted a more professional experience. Probably both. Eventually I did end up closing some jobs outside of our neighborhood and struggled through them. I had no idea what resources were out there to help me bring in jobs, close those jobs, work more efficiently. I didn't know anything about the products I was applying or why I did most things I was told to do. As far as I knew, the whole system was someone somehow got my number, they gave me a call saying they wanted the deck stained, I went out and did the work, and I got paid, and that was it. My lack of experience plus our inadequate equipment usually led to a bad time. This inefficient workflow meant I had to struggle much more than we do now, be it from projects taking too long, not making as much money as I wanted to, or working in harsh conditions that I just wasn't used to. I actually almost threw in the towel on this little baby deck that just kicked the snot out of me. However, I did keep staining, and I had a friend with great work ethic that joined me for most jobs. At this time, I was still driving my parents' minivan with over 200,000 miles as our work truck. It actually died in the client's driveway when I was trying to leave after pressure washing, so my parents came and jumped it. This year we also got called back to fix the deck we did the year prior. It just didn't last. I told the client I wasn't sure why it didn't last, but that we would redo the deck, and I did not mention payment. We tried redoing the deck in the heat of the day, and quickly realized that it was way too big for just us two. So I called up all my friends and said something along the lines of, hey, I really need your help. I don't know if we're gonna get paid, but I gotta fix this deck. And luckily they all came through. We had a group of about 5 of us there to get the deck done, knocked out without too much trouble, and we got paid I think 60% of the original price I quoted the deck for last year, which is more than I thought I was gonna get, because again, I didn't think we were gonna get paid at all. However, like most speed bumps, something good did come out of it, and that was that this project opened the door to my friends working with me. We continued cranking out decks as they came in that summer, but again, my lack of experience and professionalism led to some unhappy clients. A couple were justified, but others were just plain crazy. But at the time, I couldn't tell which was which, and some did get in my head. I had this one guy that left some really rude voicemails on my phone, and then started messaging me on Facebook, and did everything short of threatening me personally. That one's a story and a half, and turned into quite the fiasco. I was thinking about that one a lot, and luckily someone somewhere told me that sometimes you just have to kick the customer out of the store. Sometimes people are just so far beyond reason, there's nothing you can do, you just gotta get away from them. After that whole thing, I was really thinking it'd be really nice not to have to deal with this, but I kept moving forward anyway. But the story's not all doom and gloom. Although the numbers we were doing this summer weren't anywhere near where I wanted them to be, because I had huge dreams as a kid, for my age I guess they were pretty good for the short time period that we could work. There were a few days I'd walk into school, and some classmates I never even spoke to would ask if they could work with me, which was really just a boost to my ego, if nothing else. I think I was paying like $13 an hour at the time, which I guess is pretty good money for our age. Moving into year 6, I was 18 years old, and this was the point where I decided to start treating this more like a business instead of a hobby. Started doing a little bit of branding, a little bit of marketing. I got some shirts made, but I gave them all away. It was kind of like a marketing play. I was hoping people would wear them, and then someone would see the shirts out in public and then call us because of the shirts. I don't think that ever happened, but I guess it was a fun thing to do at the time. I still had no idea how to grow a business because I was just totally oblivious to all the resources out there, but I did just try doing the absolute best job we could at everything we did. This ranged from everything from trying to have great communication skills, showing up on time, being polite, giving fair estimates, which were usually pretty cheap, and just trying to give them the best final product that we could. This still didn't live up to like top tier professional quality, but I think clients saw that we cared and really appreciated that. However, I still wasn't making very much money for all the work I was putting in. One time a couple of friends came in from college and they wanted to get breakfast, but I had like $5.36 in my bank account or something like that. So I still went with them, but I just had to get water. And then somewhere around this point, I got my first piece of mail that was addressed to McCormick Staying Services, and I was hyped. It was from a local lawn care company, and it was just like the usual like marketing flyer you get in your mail, but I thought I was the only person to get it, and I thought they wanted to work together. So I reached out thinking a lawn care company is sure to meet a lot of people that need the deck stained, so if they send them my way, I'll pay them a commission off those projects that we complete. And sure enough, the company actually responded and said they'd send out a sales guy to meet me at a local restaurant, which was coincidentally the same restaurant that I couldn't buy breakfast at a few weeks earlier. So I changed in the gas station bathroom immediately after class, and I went and met the sales rep. He asked if we had our own truck and trailer. We did not. He also asked if we were insured, which we weren't. So he then just asked for a card and then headed out. But young and naive me thought it went great. But I know that their guy just thought it was a huge waste of time. We were only there for like 3 minutes maybe. Moving into year 7 now, I was a junior in college, which means it's really time to start doing a little bit of career planning. At this time, the whole idea for the business was just to make a little bit extra money in the summer. So I tried my hand at getting a couple internships. I actually struck out at both interviews, did not make it past the first round, and it was that point where I decided that the best route forward for me to achieving my personal goals was through this deck staining business. And keep in mind, at this point, 7 years in, we were still only operating out of the corner of my parents' garage. I had no work truck, no infrastructure, and the numbers we were doing in the summer were still really nothing great. So this was a huge decision. Also at this time, I'm still pretty close with my friends from high school, and most of them are doing like the medical or science route. So their summers are pretty well occupied, which means I had to hire a crew. I was not qualified at all to train or even lead a crew, so they had a pretty rough start, and I'm sure they all considered quitting, and a few did. But somehow 2 guys out of the original group are still here 3 years later. Shout out Michael and the other Brendan. Our workflow was still hilariously inefficient. Our sales process sucked, jobs took forever, and we had business cards and a website, but otherwise no branding. However, we were a hungry group of guys, and we just kept wanting more. If you want to take a little sneak peek into what life was like then, I actually have like almost 200 YouTube videos that I was making at the time, if you want to go take a look through those. Fair warning, they're not that good, but they're there if you want to see them. Moving into year 8, the comeback video I posted does a pretty good job picking up the story. I'll link that video at the end of this one if you want the full story, but if you want a quick overview, basically we got our first work truck, got our first shop, which was a 21 by 23 storage unit. Then I spent the entire off season learning how we can smooth out our workflow, how to improve our sales process, and really anything I could about the services we offer. Then we got into painting at the very beginning of this season. We got a bigger shop. Then our shop said, all right, I'm gonna head out. And then we got this replacement, and now we're deciding what to do next. All right, that is the story of the company. Hope you guys know us a little bit better. Hope we're not strangers anymore. And hope you're excited to see what we're gonna do next. If you stayed to the end of the video, hopefully you're a real one here. I did some upgrades to the shop, and I'll give you a quick tour. Now that all the formalities are done, that was exhausting. That took forever to film, so I have the camera there. I was sitting on the tailgate. I'm doing this with the garage door open because I don't have my studio lights here. So every time a truck drove by, every time a car went through, every time there was a bird flying by, I had to stop, redo the take. I've been here for like 2 hours now. But anyway, this is what we're looking at now. I got some shelving. It's a little more organized now because before, I think we just had everything in a big pile back there. So this looks much nicer. We have the lovely frog tape all packed up here. Ladders by the door, tubs right next to it. Bike's not mine. Then all the pressure washing stuff over here. And then usually the truck isn't up quite this far, but we have our tarps there for staining and then drop cloths for painting. A little bit of pressure washing stuff over there. Our pile of empty cans is getting much bigger now. And that's kind of it. These upgrades are kind of bittersweet though, because I was only able to do this because the vet has now gone into the shop to get fixed. So it's probably gonna be gone for a long time, very sadly. But it's kind of interesting because now that I only have the 2 work trucks to take care of, I don't need quite as much space. So as long as the vet is gone, I can stay in this cheaper shop for longer, which gives me more time to try to find the new shop. Because right at the end of the video here, the update on the really nice shop that was just over there, the Dream one, it took some damage in the storm. It's not going to be available for a while. So I'm going to ask how long it is until it is available. And if it's not too long, hopefully I can get on the list. All right, I think that's everything. Thank you so much for staying to the end of the video. You're a real one. Peace out. I'll catch you next time.